A pillow is something that everyone uses on a daily basis. A pillow can be small, large, fluffy, soft, and many other shapes and sizes. Pillows can be many different colors and have different patterns. You can go out and buy a pillow, but that can get really expensive. So why not just make a pillow yourself? And that's what I'm going to be showing you how to do today. So for making your pillow, there are a few things you will need. A pair of scissors, some fabric, some placement needles, which we'll talk about later, a needle and thread for the end, a threaded sewing machine, and a marker or pen to draw out your design if you need it. So today I'm going to be making a square. So when you first make a pillow, you have to make sure that you have two sides because you're going to sew them together and then stuff it. And so I'm just going to cut the middle, just like this. And so now I have this long rectangle looking fabric. And so now that I have this, there's a middle line right here that I'm going to use to cut. So now that I have my two fabric, I have the good side or the patterned side and the bad side or the less patterned whiter side. And I am going to sew them together and then I'm going to flip it out. And so I put the two good sides together like so that it's like bad side, and the good sides are in the middle. And then I make sure that the corners are lined up, or at least as best as you can. And then I get some placement needles. And these just help. They've got little yellow heads, and they help so that your fabric doesn't move around when you're sewing it. So you just stick it through one side, so that it's sticking out like that, and then you just needle it back through the other side like that. And you could do that just around, maybe at all four corners, just to get a good placement so that it won't move around when you're sewing. So after you've gotten all of the four corners, it's time to sew. So here we have our sewing machine. And so what you have to do is you have to make sure you leave about a 2-inch gap, so about this much. At the end, you sew around it, sew, and then you leave that 2-inch gap so that you can put the stuffing in it and flip it all around. And so we can just start by putting a part, just a corner, in, and you move the lever down like this little lever, so that you can hold the fabric in steady, like so. And you just go along. You try to get it so that it's about maybe 1/8 of an inch from the edge, and make sure that you have both fabric pieces together. And so after that, you sew, and then you get close to a corner. And so you can turn it a couple times. There's a knob over here, and you can turn it, and then you can flip the lever up, but keep the needle in so that you can just turn, and it's right there. It's really easy. And then you put the lever down, make sure both of your sides of fabric are together, and then you can sew some more. You have to remember, as this is our last thing, you have to stop about 2 inches so that you can turn it inside out and then stuff it at the end. So we sew, put your lever down, and we sew. And I stopped about 2 inches, so then you pull it off, you cut the strings, and then you take out your placement needles. You don't need these anymore because it's already sewn. And once those are taken out, we can move this back because we won't be needing that anymore. And so now we have a sewed inside-out pillow. And so what we do from this, go to my gap that I created, and I start to pull out the pillow, like so. I just keep pulling it out. So then, when I'm done pulling it out of this, it will have nice lines, and it'll be ready for stuffing. So after you've pushed out all of your corners, you have a pillow with no stuffing in it. And so you take this gap that you made, and you bring out your stuffing. So you take a clump of stuffing, find your gap, and you just fill. And once you've got it to your desired fluffiness, you take a piece of string about 2 feet, and then you fold it in half. And then after you fold it in half, you split the 2 ends apart, like so. And you just thread it through. So then once it's on, you have the 2 parts again together, and you pull the needle all the way down to the end. And then you take these 2 open strands and you knot them. See, there's 1 knot. So then I try to double knot it. There we go, double knot right there. And so then with this needle and string that you have, you go to your opening and you try to make it just like the other corners. So then you have your opening right here. I like to start on the already sewn part, and so you have to go inside of the opening and just push out one side so that the excess string and knot can just be tucked right inside of your pillow. So then you take it around and then you push it in both sides of the fabric right next to your first opening. And then you just keep doing that until all of your opening is sealed. So once you've reached the end of your opening, what you do is you push it through both sides, just like you've been doing, and then you pull it, but then you stop. And so you have this big loop right here. And so you would be pulling this way to make the loop smaller, but actually you want to take the needle and go back so that it makes a knot. And you can do that 2 or 3 times, and then you can use your scissors and just cut off the excess string. And there you have a pillow. Pillows are an easy craft that are useful and great for gifts and only take a few steps. Pillows aren't hard to make, it just takes a little bit of effort and creativity. Pillows are often a fun thing that you can do in your free time and make it seem like you really made an effort at a homemade gift, and only you know how easy it really is.